What is going on, guys? Joey here, and today we're going to be talking about Outliers a little bit, but it's going to tie into the second half of the title, which is that your time is running out. So you're running out of time. And what I mean by that is, we live in an age where information is just so much faster. Things are getting in front of people at a much younger age. People are getting smarter. Training is getting, better. More people are being drawn into the sport at a rate that we've never seen before. And also there's more incentives to be a better lifter. Like, there's a lot more opportunity now if you are a top 3 lifter, number 1 lifter in your country, whatever, than there ever was in the past. And I do believe that we are moving towards a time when there will not really be any outliers. There will be guys that are slightly better than others, and they will be able to pull away more so with their consistency and execution as opposed to raw strength. We've seen that happen in some of the weight classes already. But it's not just going to be like there's just one guy and, the next closest guy to him is like 40 kilos down. And I'll explain a little bit. So right now, there's a couple outliers on the male side of powerlifting and on the female side of powerlifting, although I think that window's closing a little bit. We have, who else do we have? There's just like, it's getting like harder, right? The 93s are completely stacked, right? You could pick like 5 guys in the 93s and any one of their totals would be like an impossible total like 5 years ago, right? So we're seeing this growth. We're seeing, and those are just some of the weight classes. I'm just like giving you guys an example. We're starting to see that there's more people coming into the sport. There are more totals that are being hit. I could literally think of, there's one weight class in particular, the 93s, where I could literally think of 5 different people like that exist on here, maybe 7 different people that exist on Earth right now that could literally win that class, possibly 8. And while there are outliers in certain little vacuums, I do believe that in the next 5 years, that window is probably going to be gone. And when you look at like the grand span of like somebody's life, like 5 years, like you're going to be a lifter from like age, like, I don't know, like 18 to 23, you're at your prime or something. Maybe it's, later than that, 23 to 28, whatever, 28 to 33, something like that. You're in your prime. And then the sport evolves like crazy. And then you're no longer on top. And then, you're like 50 and you look back and you're like, oh yeah, like, when I was that age, like for those years, I was a great lifter. But the sport just evolved, right? Like you can't be the open champion like infinitely. You can be that for a little bit. And I think lifters, this is a topic for another time, but they don't think about like the future, right? They just like kind of like, oh, I'm relevant at this thing like right now. But what's going to happen in like 10 years when like you can't lift anymore, right? And there's like 597,263 coaches. And, it's like not reasonable for like, you get what I'm saying? You guys see what I mean? So the main reason why I'm making this video is because I want people to understand that your time in this sport, when you are at the top, when you look back, you're going to have like a couple year span where those were like your glory days, right? There's a pocket in time when if you did the right things, and this is why I try so hard in 2022 when Powerlifting America became a thing. I took Delaney, Amanda, Jesus, Keiko, Mikey, and I said, those are not the only ones, but I said, guys, like we gotta take this opportunity now while we can. And we were able to, go to Worlds, go to Sheffield, do those things. And it was like an amazing time. And I'm so thankful that we were able to take that shot. And I will always know that we took that opportunity when we could, because things are changing, right? It's gonna continue to get harder. The field is gonna get deeper. I believe that the middleweight classes are gonna start to get hyper competitive. We're gonna see like 10 guys in the 93s that could win the class like very, very, very soon. That'll trickle to the 83s. Then obviously it's gonna trickle out, right? It's gonna start in the most popular weight class where there are just statistically more humans lifting, and then it's gonna go up and it's gonna go down from there, right? So eventually, you know, all the other weight classes are going to get deep. Right now, there's one Jesus Olivares. In 10 years, there may be 5. You know what I mean? So there's a lot of things that, like, we got to stay ahead of the curve, right? We got to try to do everything that we can to make our longevity. I think the supers are a little safe. I think the small weight classes are probably safe, just because those kinds of people, those types of humans, right, are harder to come by. Whereas like the middle of the pack is probably going to be like hyper competitive. And we're seeing this also on the women's side. There was a time when there was like one girl in like every class that was just like super dominant, and like the title never really changed hands. But now it's like you don't really know for sure. You know, the 63s are hyper competitive, 69s are super competitive, you know, 57, 59. It's just getting harder, right? And the reason why I'm saying these things is some of you guys are junior lifters. Some of you guys are master lifters. Some of you guys are open lifters. If you have an opportunity to run the gauntlet, and we'll just consider running the gauntlet, do local meet, you go to nationals, and you go to worlds, right? If you think you can do that, even if you think you're like top 5, right? Somebody could screw up and you never know what can happen, right? Look what happened with Callie at Worlds. Callie's actually a great example of we were able to seize an opportunity when the door opened for us because we were at the right place at the right time. You know what I mean? Now, you know, Callie's body is kind of like pushing us more towards the 83s. You know, Austin's coming over. Taylor's trying to get healthy. Like, it's just going to get harder, right? I don't want to say his name wrong. Shell, I think is his name. He's there. Like, it's going to be really, really, really tough, right? And I'm so thankful and happy that we were able to take that opportunity when it was there. And we're going to start, the way I see these things is like, they're rare, right? You don't just get to be a world champion whenever you want. So now, right now, there are a couple outliers, and they probably can for a couple more years, but it's going to get harder. There's a kid right now who's like 13 who's just getting into powerlifting, and he's probably going to be the next, you know, I don't even know who, right? Insert outlier here. And as somebody who's been around for a long time, I've seen the early days. I saw what it was like back then, and I see where things are going, and I see what it is now. I mean, we are. This is why I tell people, you know, if you can go to Worlds, if you have the chance to go to Worlds, some people would say it's crazy to like not do it, because it's like when you look at your life and all the cool things that you do in your existence, assuming things make sense financially and all that stuff, you want to look back on your life and be like, I was able to travel, I had these experiences, I got to live life, I got to do all these amazing things and meet people and da-da-da-da, right? See the world. I just want people to be able to experience that. And I just think that there can be certain mindsets or certain, you know, lifters that are pretty good, but they just don't want those opportunities. Like maybe they see something different, right? Maybe, and that's okay. Like everybody can do whatever it is that they want to do. Everybody can lift where they want to lift. And, you know, if you just want to stay local, that's totally fine. Not everyone is going to even be able to be a champion like that, right? Not everyone is going to be able to do that, but you can be a better version of yourself, and you can lift. There's like so many different, maybe your goal is to make it to nationals, right? I know for PA, you could just lift the bar, but it's going to get to a point where you're going to actually have to have a respectable total, and it will feel good and be special to do that. And I have guys right now that have been with me for like 6+ years, 7+ years that I can think of. One guy is coming up on 10 years, right? And the weights that he can lift now, when we first started, you know, even 3 years ago, we never thought. I mean, I always like to leave the door open. I always like to say, hey, like, anything's possible, because I've seen it all. I've literally seen, I'm not, like, surprised by anything anymore, because it's like, yeah, like, that seems crazy and improbable, but it could happen. That's why I never try to say, like, oh, this is, like, not reasonable in this amount of time. Obviously, there's a lot of things that need to happen to get someone to reach their potential. But, you know, outliers exist now. There will come a time when it is hyper competitive, and there are very few of them. And I think we can look back at generations and eras, and we can literally see, this is the cool thing about powerlifting, right? Because we can literally look back in time and say, you know, I mean, the only people that really come to mind is like, you could look at Jesse Norris, look at what he was able to do. He was such an unbelievable outlier at that time. And literally, like 9 years later, there's just now people that can like start to contend with what he was able to do back then. Right? But there's going to be a lot of them. And we can compare this generation to back then. And there might be a time where an average above average 93 total, like of the top, you know, I don't know, top 10 93s, his total might be like this. That's just like to get in, right? That's just to be in that top 10. You got to have that total. And there may come a time when everybody's really good and it's going to come down to execution. It's literally not about strength anymore. Everybody's fucking strong, right? In the NFL, everybody's good. At the college level, everybody's good. So it's just a very interesting thing to me. If you're a junior and you have an opportunity to take Worlds or something, do it. If you think you're good enough to win the Open, do it. The time is now to put yourself into motion of getting to the top, getting to your potential. Because there may come a time when you were very good and you could have experienced all those amazing things that you can in powerlifting, but that window is closing. That window is, I'm not trying to like throw cold water on anything, right? I'm just trying to let you guys know, with more kids coming in, chances are one of them is going to break through. With more kids coming in, with training being like, dude, not like the amount of information that's on the internet with how to build muscle and get stronger and things like that, injury prevention, literally all of it's on the internet. It's like literally all out there. It's no longer gatekept. It's no longer a secret, right? It's just going to continue to get, the window is going to get smaller and smaller and smaller. Also, we have the injection of money coming into the sport. Sheffield, is a huge carrot on a stick, but there are way more competitions now where lifters have a chance to make like significant money. If you win Sheffield, if you win $40,000, like that's going to help a lot of people, especially in countries where like that's infinite money, right? Not infinite, but you guys get what I'm saying. And that never existed before. And people are willing to move mountains to try to get a piece of that. You know, to tell someone, hey, you can make a way from yourself doing something that you love. I mean, I think that's very compelling. And I think people are willing to do whatever it takes to put themselves in a position to get to that point. And we're seeing that happen. We are literally seeing that happen, right? And we're seeing it happen at a younger age. Look at Agatha on the women's side. She is incredible. She's very young, and she's able to do things that, I mean, I just didn't exist back in the day, right? It just didn't have somebody like that was able to hyper focus on something like that. So I just I'm someone that likes to live with a little bit of like urgency, and I think that that window of opportunity is closing. Now, of course, there will be levels, right? There will be the top level. That window is going to be very short for anyone to kind of like rule that, if you guys, I guess if you want to say that, right? But there could be more opportunities, and you know, we have like the Raleigh meet, which on its own is going to be bigger than anything that any national meet would give over the last, you know, forever, right? There was no meet that was doing that. So there are going to be more opportunities. And I think, I don't want you guys to listen to this video and be like, damn, like I can't, you know, I'm never going to be top 3, like I'm screwed. No. There's going to be more opportunities that are going to trickle down, you know, multiple different levels and things like that. But I just want you guys, like I said, I've been around for a long time, and at the end of the day, it's like, what are you doing it for, right? What are we putting our bodies on the line for? What are we lifting these heavy weights for? And I just want to see people experience. I want to see people hit PRs. I want to see people grow. I want to see people get better. There will come a time when you have to put the barbell down. It's literally inevitable, right? There's nothing we can do about it. But I want people to get the most out of the sport. And, you know, I just feel like a video like this, even if it gets one of you guys to go like, you know what? I should have followed my macros. I shouldn't be going out on the weekends. I really want to do this thing. And then, you know, maybe you move on from the sport, whatever. But you know that you're not doing the things that you need to do to get there, right? Or maybe you keep, anytime things get tough, you cut your sets, or you just get like super tired, or like You know, you're just not doing the things that you need to do in order to achieve something special relative to where you are. Like I said, you don't always have to, it's not always about like the top, right? It's about improving from where you are and getting somewhere that you can look back on and say, I am really happy that I was able to stick this out and do this. I have seen people, especially my girls, they come into the sport, they're really shy, they're not really social, and they're not strong. And then in a couple years, they will literally explode on social media, have tons of friends, you know, build a community around, like get into a community, be super strong, be confident, and they're just changed people. Like that is such an amazing thing, like making a difference in your life through lifting, you know, being able to be a part of that. That is like super, super rewarding for me. I could tell you any one of my lifters that I've seen from the beginning till now, and like they're just like more amplified versions of themselves, you know, from the beginning to now. And that is, I think at the end of the day, that's like what it's all about. It's like about that growth. Yes, we're doing it through lifting, but seeing people grow and get these opportunities. When people, the happiness, I have lifters right now that like, they work like normal jobs, right? And they're pretty strong. They're definitely way stronger than any normal person, but they're not really trying to go to nationals or nothing like that. But the happiness that I see when they hit a PR, when they conquer a weight that they thought that they couldn't before, it does something to a person in a positive way. I don't know how we got from Outliers to this. I guess we're talking about that sense of urgency. The time is closing, right? And I just felt like it would be good to put a video out just talking about how, hey man, I'm like the dude that, like, you know, like in the Godzilla movie when they got the piece of paper and it's got all the lines on it, and they're like, we just saw a crazy earthquake coming. There's something big headed our way. And I'm letting you guys know there's something big headed your way, and I want you guys to experience everything about this sport that makes it great. And if you take anything away from this video, just know that there will come a time when there may not be many outliers because there's so many amazing lifters at the top. And that window of being able to, you know, be the best junior, be the best open lifter, be the best master, whatever, it's going to close. And I want you to be able to look back on your career and say, I'm really happy with the things that I did. I achieved it. Shit, when I look at my lifting, I could never have imagined I would lift what I lifted. I didn't even think it was even remotely possible. I can't even, in the meet, I was looking at the weight I was about to lift. Like, I can't believe I'm about to lift this. How the fuck did I get here? I do not want to do this, right? That's just your fight or flight telling you, get the hell out. Anyway, I love you guys. Just wanted to do a little bit of a different video this time. Yeah. If you guys made it this far, let me get a hashtag. Keep it moving in the comments down below. I'll see you guys in the next one. Peace.